Hello, and welcome to Student Voice. I'm JD Shoemate. Well, it's been a great semester so far, and on this special edition of Student Voice, we're looking back at past episodes of the show, what we learned, and what we're planning next. Ian, you were around for the very beginning of Student Voice. Tell us about that.
Well, so it originally started a couple of semesters ago, back when Brandon Watson was the president of the media club, and it was a media club project. I believe it was something that where he could actually show somewhat of a roundtable news discussion. He wanted Student Voice to really be a discussion amongst students, either about the programs that were going on here at Chat State, and between him and Morgan Hugh, they really were the ones that put this show together. And what it was is just to really bring about like all of the information that we have here at Chat State, whether it be the resources that we have or some of the discussions that we have going on currently.
All right. So this semester, you produced an episode about Operation Freedom Dogs. Let's take a look.
One of the students, David, and his dog Foxtrot here with us today. David, can you describe what this program meant to you and like how it's basically affected your quality of life?
Yeah, when I first started training with Fox, which was about a year ago, you know, I was in a pretty rough spot mentally. Barely left my house. I was very isolated. Had some anger issues. It was causing issues with my kids. You know, not being able to be there for them fully.
Yeah.
And not just having Fox around, but going through and training with him and dedicating the time to training him to be a service dog. It helped me get a handle on myself, and you know, and he is still there when I start getting a little overwhelmed. You know, I can scratch him behind the ears or whatever, and it just gives me something to ground myself and take a few minutes to get a deep breath and carry on with my day.
Okay. And can you describe some of the training that the service dogs actually go through during the program?
Well, because we do train our own dogs, the students, we learn to train our own dogs. We have to start fairly basic. Me, I'd never trained a dog to do anything. So they had to train me to be able to start training my dog. And that starts with basic obedience training. You know, and then we start working up more, we want to train the dog when we're moving, that they have a position they have to be in at all times.
What did you learn about producing this episode?
So the main thing that I had learned about producing the episode on Operation Freedom Dogs was you really have to take the time outside of just the studio, and you actually have to go out, kind of learn what you're wanting to talk about, and go out there and be able to get your B-roll, have it all prepped, know your clients that are going to come in, or know the host and talent that you're going to have come in, so where when you come in here, you're well prepared and you kind of know which direction the conversation needs to go into, and you can actually provide a smoother show for you on the back end.
I will say, you having a dog in the studio was one of the coolest things we had in here all semester.
That dog was the best service dog ever. He was a good doggo.
Yeah, I know.
So next we have Nick. What was your episode all about?
Well, my episode was about video games, specifically in just player news about video games. And it was kind of difficult to do because I originally wanted to do Hawker, but the studio was so kind of foggy that it was just so difficult to do. The goggles kept fogging up. Eventually, we just did this without the goggles.
So why was the studio foggy?
Well, it wasn't foggy. It was what was the word? Humid. It was very humid in the studio.
Okay.
And so just the goggles kept screwing up. It was ridiculous.
All right, so let's take a look at a clip of yours.
Overwatch, Team Fortress 2, or in our case today, we're talking about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. A new video game is taking the Twitch streaming base by storm, called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The early access release title, made available public March 23rd, has been experiencing hits and misses with the public.
That's right. Now, while the game has taken most of the PC streaming demographic by storm,
Last, here's a look at an episode I produced about DACA and how changes to the immigration policy would affect students right here at Chattanooga State. Tying in the previous question, it's also been alleged that Dreamers took jobs away from Americans. Is this true?
I don't believe so. I think that Dreamers, they don't take the same jobs that Americans usually go for. Dreamers, they're usually under the age of like anywhere from 16 till 22 because the program was introduced around 2008, 2009 under the Obama administration. So most of the Dreamers are currently within high school and college or a little bit after college. So the jobs that they're applying for are different than the jobs that most Americans already would hold. Well, because most of the Americans that have those jobs have been out of college for a while.
We'll take a quick break now and be back with more. We're back now on Student Voice with our semester recap. Carrie and Jacqueline had similar episodes where we spotlighted TCAP programs. Carrie, could you tell us about the massage episode?
Sure. We had people from one of the massage place come over and demonstrate us to how to do massage. And we had some Bentley, who was our co-student, volunteer for it. And then they showed him back exercises and stuff like that on his back. And the most important thing I would say that I learned is that communication, because the lady in charge of it was sick a lot of times, so we had to communicate each other, when she could come in and stuff like that.
Okay, so let's take a look at that real quick.
Okay, so why did you choose this field as a career?
I chose this field because basically when I was growing up as a child, I've seen my mom struggling really bad, and I wanted to do something that would help her feel better.
Can you show us how a person might massage someone's back?
We use some petrissage, and then we do tapotement to do work through the deeper tissues as well.
And Jacqueline, who was here for your episode?
I had some students here from the aesthetics program here at Chat State to show us how to do some easy fall makeup looks. It was really fun.
Okay, so let's take a look at yours.
And Chandler is going to show us how to do a softer take on the smoky eye with a perfect wing.
And first we're just going to do a light brown just to cover the whole lid to get a base color for all the darker colors. And then from there we just get a darker color and put it in the crease.
We'll be right back with more.
Chattanooga State has resumed barbering classes. Students are learning the art of barbering with hands-on training. Barbers use classic tools such as a straight razor, along with new trends and technologies. Barbering is coming back in a big way. A new career in barbering is only a click away at chattanoogastate.edu/TCAT.
Our last round of looking back on this semester's Student Voice, Hunter, you interviewed the amazing Chris Goforth, who had probably the best radio voice I've ever heard in my entire life, about the upcoming sports broadcasting class. What did you find out?
I found out a lot of great information of what you're going to be learning in that class, and really I got to know Chris a little bit, the professor that's going to teach that class, before I'm getting to get in that class, so it's pretty knowledgeable.
All right, so let's take a look at a clip from yours.
So, Mr. Goforth, what is the sports broadcasting class all about, and what will the students be doing in that class?
Well, what we try to do is to make it as comprehensive as possible. Essentially, the class is, for the most part, broken down into 4 segments. First segment's interviewing, so you learn the proper way to do an interview. When you go to work at ESPN, when you're hired by them, the first thing you do there is you spend 2 days in an interview symposium, if you will, basically where you sit and for 2 days you learn how to interview. We spend about 2 class periods on it, but all the stuff that we learn in that class about how to conduct an interview all comes straight out of what you learn at ESPN. So that's kind of where we start, and that is, to me, I really think maybe the most important thing that people get out of it, because there's a lot of people that say, well, I don't really want to work in sports. Do I want to take this class? And that's the one thing that you can get from this class that I think will really carry over into other parts of life. If you end up working behind the camera as a producer, your job may be at times to create questions for your host to be able to ask,
know
or
what you're
for the
looking for.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So you got to know how to be able to structure those questions.
And lastly, Emily, you spoke with Professor Phil Fortin and students about the computer animation program. What did you learn during that?
I think overall I just learned a lot about how computer animation students as well as Phil Fortin are just really passionate about motion graphics and computer animation. I was initially interested because of the stop motion I made, so it was cool to see like other people talk about the process of computer animation. It was really interesting.
All right, let's take a look at that.
I'm Montana Ritchie.
I'm Adam Oxford.
I'm Phil Fortin.
So what are some of the things that you learned in the program?
Well, the computer animation program covers a wider set of skills such as character modeling, environment modeling, animation of course, as well as a number of other software packages such as Photoshop, Maya, Unreal Engine, and ZBrush, which is a digital modeling program.
It's very cool.
Well, it's been a great semester. Thanks to everyone for watching our show, and we all look forward to new episodes of Student Voice this spring. Have a great winter break.